take hardly any time to cook for a bean, but they still take 20 minutes, and I didn't think I could keep your all's interest for 20 minutes, so I started it early. And they're definitely not ready yet.
Do you guys stay away from a lot of soy?
No, I'm not worried about soy. That's, again, this is as easy as you want. It's very easy to be vegan if you don't have trouble with soy. But if you do, there's a lot of substitutes. Last week we used the TVP, I don't offhand remember in what, but we substitute bulgur wheat. And bulgur wheat's a good substitute because it takes about the same time to rehydrate. But most things I've read,
Christy,
especially
did
for
you
women,
want to try this?
the evidence,
Maybe
people
a
have
little bit.
soy sensitivities and soy allergies like for anything else, but any worries about this form of estrogen that's in it doesn't have an impact on the human body. So that's according to the stuff I've read. Did you have a particular question about soy?
Well, that was mainly it. I've heard there's a lot of estrogen in it, and it's better to eat like
Fermented soy.
fermented like tempeh as opposed to a block of soy because it.
I could have a separate burner and saute the onion, but then again, I'm not using oil. And for me, and I've done a long time, like with crock pot recipes, just put the onion in water. It's gonna taste good. Other things that need to be sauteed in oil are gonna taste perfectly fine. I already peeled this onion. I think anyone needed to see me peel it, and if it was a really strong onion, I would have wept for you. What I've already done, in the interest of time, is that I've sorted through the green lentils. I use French green lentils, and you talk earlier about not using I don't use the red because I want them to keep their shape and look good. These are French green. It's cool. I think they're going to in Michigan, not in France. I've added a grain. You don't have to add a grain. It's optional. Like a rice, I've used pearl barley. And that's basically to give it some more body to it. This is a winter soup. It's almost a stew. I did not put in my vegetable broth, so I'm going to do that now. This is like beef bouillon, but it's vegetable broth powder. I get the low salt kind. Just so I have control over salt. This is 6 cups. I'm going to add 3 teaspoons. Like any bouillon, it's figured out to be a teaspoon a cup, but you don't need that much. My other trick in this, which y'all didn't see, is that I keep pasta water. I keep water I boil potatoes in for 4 or 5 days. I keep the water that pasta's been in because otherwise I'm losing a lot of nutrients. You ask about wheat and soy. I use Gorilla Plus pasta, which is not available at O&F. It's made primarily out of garbanzo flour and lentil flour.
What was it with?
Gorilla Plus. It has some wheat, but it's a high protein.
Is it? Can you get that at Harps?
Yes. You can get it at both the parks, IGA, Walmart. And unless you're boycotting Barilla because Mr. Barilla said something really homophobic about 3 weeks ago.
Yes, yes.
So I've cleaned and sorted the lentils. They're in there.
Oh, boy, okay.
And now I'm basically adding these other items to it after it's pretty well cooked through. But I'm going to go ahead and do it now. And one is the onion. Another big can of tomatoes. Near Lynn, I've never cooked with them before because I don't usually buy canned products here because it's sort of expensive. These have been well rated, this company. They also have fire roasted with added flavors like fire roasted garlic, fire roasted with added peppers. I didn't know what the flavor would come out, so I went with plain old crushed or whole. If you buy whole, cut them up or squish them so that you have little bits. I use dice for this recipe. Good, nobody got splashed. Well, if y'all don't eat this, Christy and I will take it home. We'll have some leave some for Owen. This has to return to a boil. It's not, they're optional because you can play with everything, but adding greens to this is what really makes this soup. The greens and tomatoes are what make it.
Do you prefer frozen over fresh, or it's just easier, or?
Good question. I have a spiel about that.
Okay.
It goes in two different directions. One thing is, I didn't see it here, I don't know if they have it here, but Walmart and now Harps are selling pre-washed kale. Pre-washed, pre-cut, destemmed kale. And I've been doing that a lot. We've been doing that. I buy a bag a week of kale or collards. They have mustard greens, that's a little bit too spicy. And I put them directly into the big skillet, as tall as I can make it. I cover the skillet. After I add about half a cup of water, I add some ginger, add some spices, clump it down, clump the lid on it, simmer it on medium for about 10 minutes, and they're beautiful. I like fresh. I go to the farmer's market, buy fresh, but you sort of have to weigh out, if you're being ecologically minded, about how much water you're using. And when it's done on an industrial scale, it's washed. If you're nervous about the company or whatnot, wash it again. But you're using a lot to get rid of the sand and the grit. In cook, that's to have fresh ones, to have fresh greens. You really fresh or pre-washed in a big bag. It's about 18 ounces. They're $4 or $5. But when it comes to something like this, when it's going straight into a pot and it's just going to be stewed up, I go for frozen. Canned has an off flavor. I mean, canned greens, that's what I grew up with. You had it at school lunch. Yep. But the thing about all frozen vegetables is that they have nothing added. Canned at the least has salt. But everything is picked fresh. As in within 6 or 8 hours. If they can't get it frozen by then, flash frozen, they throw it out. It's literally as fresh and as clean as you can get. This one that I had here, I'll probably use it next week. You know, unless Christy and I eat it first.
It's actually kind of more lentils.
No, I want you all to eat it here.
Yeah, that's why I made it. We have plenty of food at home.
You didn't know you were gonna be.
I think this is very easy to peel. The other item, and it was originally done by Mark Bittman as a sweet potato dish, and the idea is that we're all used to, especially with Thanksgiving coming up, of thinking of sweet potatoes and squashes as being marshmallows on top,
Yeah.
sweet potato pie, at the least. Usually it's the marshmallows on top is part of the side dish. But the sweetness works really well with savory items. In this case, I'm going to be using fresh sage leaves and a little garlic.
The marshmallows okay in a vegan diet?
Actually, marshmallows have eggs.
Yeah,
No,
gelatin.
marshmallows have gelatin.
I'm sorry,
Gelatin.
marshmallows have gelatin,
They're
and gelatin
vegetarian.
comes from beef marrow,
There are vegan marshmallows.
There are, that's true, they do
They're
make them,
vegan
but they're not
marshmallows.
naturally vegan.
and they're at ONF. They taste great. They're really expensive.
Yeah.
Yes.
I bought
This
them. We
is
had
true.
some more party we went to, and I went and found them. It's just like $5, and it's a smaller bag than the campfire ones. It's like, oh, okay. They worked okay in terms of an open flame. But that's using, they're vegetarian forms of gelatin. Tapioca, arrowroot, cornstarch, and it just depends on the brand. They have 2 different brands at ONF. And they're in the bakery aisle where the sugars and the flours are.
Does ONF have vegan marshmallows? Oh,
Yes.
They do? Okay. I'm sorry.
Thanks for saying that about the gelatin. I'd forgotten what the missing thing was.
And we use agar to make cheese.
Mm.
It's like a seaweed.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
jelly
used as an
and-
egg replacer.
Where do you
Two.
find that?
They have it at ONF and Harps.
Yeah.
Where is it? What department?
Agar is at ONF.
This third aisle from the produce.
How do you
Ethnic
make
aisle, I
cheese
guess.
with it?
Yeah. Well, we make cheese out of nuts and nutritional yeast. And
Yeah,
agar.
and it
What does it look like?
coagulates.
So you like,
Egg on.
you
It's a
soak
flake.
cashews and grind them?
Mm-hmm.
And Brazil nuts,
Mhm.
and sunflower seeds sometimes.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Would it taste real, if your cheese then is nutty tasting?
Mm-hmm. And she just got me a book for my birthday, so how to make vegan artisan cheeses, so
Oh.
That'd be interesting, there's probably a market for that.
Yeah.
we're trying.
Yes.
You try?